Hey everybody, Chad here. I'm in Thailand. It's 10 p.m. It's dark, so hopefully the lighting's good. It's really not about the lighting, it's about the information. But in this video, we're going to talk about intuition, how to follow your intuition. But we're going to talk about two things here. We're going to talk about intuition and decision making, and how decision making strengthens your intuition. Makes sense? And further, we're going to talk about or relate in there some of the stuff that I struggle with in these two categories. But that's what kind of sparked me to do this video. So anyway, let's get rocking and rolling. Hit the subscribe button. I don't go into all that most of the time because you know the whole drill. But anyway, when we look at intuition, we look at our gut feeling, and most of us kind of want to know, how do we follow our intuition? Because our intuition is kind of, how I like to describe it, kind of the voice of God, how God, talks to you, kind of gives you that gut feeling, or no matter what you want to say, the universe speaks to you. We just have that gut feeling, and we've all kind of had that throughout our life. We've all kind of been somewhere. We walk into a restaurant and we just have that gut feeling not to leave, and we leave. Or maybe we've been thinking of somebody and we just have the intuition to call them, and you call them and they say, hey, I was just thinking about you. We all have those moments throughout our life that has occurred, but we want to know like how to follow it, more, how to kind of strengthen it. And this is a tricky question. I mean, it's not easy because I think there's so many layers in there. And I think just as kids going through the school system and stuff like that, we're not taught to use our higher faculties. We're kind of taught to see, hear, smell, taste, touch. If we don't have one of those five senses, well, if it doesn't match one of those five senses, well, we're not taught on that. We're not, so we're taught very little on gut feeling, following our gut feeling, following our intuition. So that being said, what do I mean by decision making? How does decision making strengthen your intuition? So, and this is one of the things I struggle with, and I've been struggling with it for the last couple weeks pretty strong here, is that I'm a thinker, and I tend to overanalyze. So no matter when I'm trying to make a decision, I tend to overthink that decision, and I overanalyze it. Just like in business, I got my business stuff over here. I like to think and overanalyze stuff. Sometimes it's a pro, but in this area, it can really be a big con. Okay, it can really hold you back when you start following intuition. A second thing I kind of had an issue with is asking people for advice. Okay, and I think some of us don't have this issue, but I think a lot of us do. That when we want to make a decision, if we want to make a purchase, or we want to talk to someone, we have a relationship issue, we want to become boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatnot. What we end up doing is we go to all of our friends, and sorry, my nose itch, and it's like keep on itching there. I'm like, oh my goodness, but we go to all our friends and we ask their opinion on that situation or that topic. And we might ask 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, 2 people, 1 person, okay? And sometimes people give good advice. Most people give crappy advice. And most people don't know your situation, okay? Or if it's a relationship, don't know the other person or whatnot. Sometimes you're taking advice from people that have literally no experience even giving you advice on that topic. Okay, there's a lot of layers on here. So how does this fit in? For one thing, what we have to understand is when we start asking people for advice, we start asking a lot of people for advice, that just causes more confusion up here. Okay. When we start thinking and overthinking, overanalyzing, what happens? We start confusing ourselves up here. Okay. We start using our kind of intellectual mind, and we start getting confused. Okay, we start confusing here versus our gut feeling. So how does decision making stop all this? See, the reason why decisions kind of strengthens your intuition is because honestly, what we should be doing, see, what I know I should do, I'm not doing, okay? That make a decision and follow your decision. You don't need anybody's opinion. That's a hard nut to crack. You really, talking to myself too, I really don't need nobody else's opinion. Okay, I can sit here and just be quiet and really feel led to do something, but I don't need to ask 5 people what they think about a certain topic. I can just sit here and think, okay, I want to do it. I feel led to do it. I don't need your approval. I don't need your opinion. That's making a decision. So when you make decisions, a firm decision, the chatter goes away. You really stop thinking about it. When you really make a really hardcore decision, that chatter goes away, okay? When you kind of cut people off from asking for their advice, okay, the chatter goes away. So you can kind of hear, that inner voice. You can hear that gut feeling a little bit more. It's a little bit more louder, it's a little bit more stronger because you don't have so much chatter going on. So that's why decisions are so important to follow. And then for me, sometimes it's an addiction. Like once I ask 1 or 2 people their opinion, next thing I know, I don't know why it happens this way. Next thing I know, I want to ask somebody else, then I want to ask somebody else, then I want to ask somebody else. And it's just like a roller coaster. And they're telling me different things. And I'm like, okay, what should I do? And that kind of takes away from my intuition. Rather, when I just sit down and be quiet, maybe meditate, or just sit down and be quiet. Like here, I'm in the room by myself, so it's easy for me to be quiet and just think. And not think, but just kind of tone down the chatter. And just, when you feel led, you feel have an intuitive moment, just trust that and make a decision to trust it, then follow that decision. That's how you strengthen your intuition. Is just making a decision to do it. You don't need anybody else's approval. You don't need anybody else to tell you that's true or false, it's positive, negative, you should do it or shouldn't do it. That's just bottom line. For example, like in relationships, maybe you feel led or you feel intuitive, like maybe you're gonna have a boyfriend, girlfriend. You're going to start getting serious, okay? You don't need to go to all your friends and ask, what would you do? Make sense? And it just causes confusion. If you have an intuitive to move forward in a relationship, move forward. Make sense? Because, you know, if your intuition, that's your higher faculty, that's your higher power, you know, that's the voice of God, you know, that's who's kind of speaking to you. Makes sense? And we're confusing it with just, you know, with all the outside chatter, we cause it, whatever, but we're confusing it because we're really just not making a decision. We're really not trusting ourselves, you know, and I think that's what it kind of comes down to. When we don't make decisions, we're not trusting ourselves. We're not trusting ourselves that we're making the best choice. So then we go and we search for other people to get an opinion. You know, you have to trust yourself that you're making a proper choice. Make a decision to do it and just do it. And your intuition will get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that, my friends, is kind of what I want to talk. I mean, that's basically what we talked about. But that's what I was kind of going through the last couple of weeks. We all kind of fall in these traps. We all kind of fall, and it's easy for me to fall in these traps. We're all human, okay? No matter how much of an expert people think they are, they're going to fall into traps. So to kind of refocus here, intuition and decision making. One way to strengthen the intuition is make a decision, follow your decision. You don't need anybody else's approval. Trust your own instincts, trust your own self that you can make good decisions. And more things will prosper, more things will come, and your intuition be strengthened. And that's it, my friends. Wanted to share that with you. That's something I was struggling with over the last couple weeks, and it just dawned on me, oh my goodness, I'm doing this, but I wanted to share it with you. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.